The leadoff speaker today is KonWell Wang, who is the Stephen P. Timoshenko Collegiate Professor of Mechanical Engineering at the University of Michigan. Professor Wang.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you all for coming. Welcome to session 3 of the Symposium for Extraordinary Engineering Impacts on Society. This session, as Teresa said, is going to be focusing on NSF centers. And again, I'm KonWell Wang. I'm a professor of mechanical engineering at the University of Michigan. I'm also a former division director of the Engineering Education and Centers Division at the National Science Foundation. The Engineering Education and Centers Division, the EEC division, is the host of the NSF Engineering Research Center program, the so-called ERC program, which is one of the flagship program at NSF. Here, I want to thank the organizers for inviting me. It is really my great honor to be here. I was told to give a short overview of the ERC program, followed by the speakers in this session. As you can see, there's some very distinguished speakers in this session. They will talk about their individual experience and accomplishments of their centers. Since I no longer work for NSF, so I do not represent NSF. Instead, my presentation will be my own view as a university professor, educator, and researcher in the community who knows something about this topic. Here's the content of my today's presentation. First, I will discuss briefly the trends, challenges, and opportunities in engineering, which is very relevant to the rationale and the background of the NSF ERC program. Then after that, we'll dig deeper into the ERC program. Here, I'm listing a set of references I reviewed and utilized in my talk. And these are all public domain information. So if you're interested in the details, you can utilize them and check them out. So in the past decades, the engineering community has been assessing the state and the future of the engineering discipline, especially the trends, the challenges, and opportunities for engineering. I can roughly categorize them into the following category. That is the trends of emerging and convergent research, especially to address the grand challenges, the impact of globalization, and the changes in education and workforce development model. So in terms of grand challenges, there are several versions of grand challenges, starting from the very well-known 14 grand challenges for engineering developed by the National Academy of Engineering over 10 years ago, to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, to the more recently, the NSF's 10 Big Ideas. Based on these, the community is calling for engineers to address big societal problems with high impact to humanity. And it is recognized in order to do that, we need to build a strong core in engineering, but at the same time, we need to reach out and cross the boundaries and absorb new emerging areas within engineering and also outside of engineering, including natural science and social science. And to do that, we need to foster the convergence with depth and breadth. Now, to be convergent and work with people outside our area and outside our comfort zone, we will have a diverse team. And we need to celebrate the culture of inclusion. That is, we need to respect and cherish and appreciate people with different background, different training, a different culture, even different ideologies, so we can work together to tackle the grand challenges and impact the society. Now, there are publications emphasizing on the importance of convergence, and there are also recently some programs that are built based on the concept of convergence, including the new generation of the ERC. In terms of globalization, if you review the data, we can see there are globalization is really a two-way street. That is, there are more and more international competition as well as international collaborations. That is, our nation is indeed facing serious competitions in both research investment and research productivity. On the other hand, there are many international collaborations through cross-nation programs and projects, and also co-author papers among multinational authors. Now, since we have a smaller and flatter world, so it gives the US engineers an opportunity to look beyond the first world problems. That is, to engineer for the global good and greater good. And there are many of these programs in the nation trying to address the global grand challenges. At the national level, the more well-known are the NAE Grand Challenges Scholars Program and the Engineers Without Borders Program. Now, workforce development, due to globalization, it is recognized for US engineers to compete in the world market. Our engineering expertise will be required at an even higher level. But more than that, other emerging and professional skills such as leadership, communication skills, team formation, international experience, etc., are becoming more and more important in order for us to work effectively in a very diverse and convergent environment. And new technologies such as AI, cyber, and virtual learning has shown to be effective in enhancing our education and workforce development. This is not only for college education, but also K-12, which is our pipeline, and also personalized and lifelong learning, which will impact the workforce in our industry and our society. Now, due to COVID-19, we're forced into the so-called remote learning and remote teaching mode, and very rapidly. So we all feel the pain, but at the same time, we also recognize the new ideas and the lessons we learned through this time will be very helpful for us in the future. And we can do even better in the post-pandemic era. And that is, we can change crisis into opportunities. So this is indeed an exciting time for engineering. That is a time to tackle the grand challenges and impact society through convergent research and preparing a new generation of diverse and inclusive workforce. And since its birth, the NSF ERC program has always been evolving to take on these challenges, harness the opportunities, so to lead the national and global trends to impact technology, society, and humanity. So now let's go deeper on the ERC program. Now, the ERC program has a long history and proud tradition. It was launched over 35 years ago. The goal was to improve engineering research so that US engineers will be better prepared and the US industry will become more competitive in the world markets. So the vision, of course, is to promote cross-disciplinary basic research, but much more than that. We need to translate research discovery to innovative products, to strengthen the competitiveness of our nation, and to firmly link research with education and prepare the next generation of leaders. So here shows some distinguished features of an ERC. First, ERC is strongly focused on engineering systems. It is large-scale and long-term, spans from basic research to technology. So on the right-hand side shows a very well-known quad chart plotting the relevance for generalized knowledge to basic research versus the relevance for immediate application. So the ERC belongs to the green box, which is so-called use-inspired basic research, and we want the benefit of both ends. So as I said, it's long-term and large-scale. So a successful ERC usually will enjoy 10 years of NSF support. And even after they graduated, after 10 years, NSF would want these ERCs to continue to be impactful and active in the community, and many of them are like that. So the funding, the NSF funding during those 10 years in the past has been maximum $4 million per year. Now it has been elevated to $6 million per year. And throughout the years, there are 4 generations of ERC, starting from generation 1, which focusing on a single university with industry engagement, to generation 2, NSF required the universities, many universities to work together and to develop strategic plans showing a pathway from fundamentals to technology to system integration, and also increase diversity at all levels, including a minority serving institute, and to expand the education mission through outreach. Generation 3 strongly encouraged that these centers will collaborate internationally, partner with foreign universities, so our students and our engineers will be competitive in the world market and also make global impact. Now we're at the early stage of Generation 4, which the first cohort started in 2020, and I will come back and talk about that a little bit later. Here's a map of the recent ERCs. These are from data in August 2020. So at that time, there are 14 ERCs covering topics such as biotech and healthcare, energy, sustainability, and infrastructure, advanced manufacturing, microelectronics, sensing, and IT. Now, here are some numbers about ERCs. And we, of course, know that the impact and the quality of a program is not just about numbers. However, numbers do show the quantitative productivity of a program, which is also an indication of impact. So here has the regular numbers on journal publications and books, but also more than that, we're talking about patents, licenses, invention disclosures, startup and spin-off companies. And throughout the years, there are more than 14,000 students who benefited and graduated from these ERCs. So it's huge impact to workforce development. This is the well-known ERC three-plane diagram. All the proposals need to have these three-plane diagram. NSF used this to guide the researchers and also the reviewers. The top plane is so-called system plane. Second plane is the technology plane. And then there's the fundamental knowledge plane. We usually start with the system plane. We want to identify the grand challenges, the impact of the center, and identify the test beds to demonstrate that. And then based on that, we want to identify the enabling technology that we need. That's the second plane. And then finally, to accomplish these enabling technology, what are the basic research and the fundamental knowledge we need to acquire, which is the third plane. Today, I would like to highlight two centers that both of them graduated. These are the past ERCs. Of course, talking about two centers is by no means comprehensive. There's many outstanding centers out there, including centers that will be presented later. But here, I just want to use these two to highlight some of the spirit of the ERC program. Both of them have graduated, but they are still very active and impactful in the community. The first one is so-called Simberg. Their focus is on synthetic biology, and the host or the lead university is UC Berkeley. And they have many contributions, but I just want to mention one. They have developed a process to produce anti-malaria drug in a very inexpensive way. Not only they have made a breakthrough in the lab through basic research, they passed their technology through a spin-off company to a major company for scale-up production. And they work with a nonprofit organization to deliver these drugs to Africa, which basically have huge impact on global health and literally saving lives. But the second one is CASA. This center, the vision is to revolutionize our ability to predict hazardous weather by creating distributed but collaborative adaptive sensing radar network that sample the lower atmosphere. The lead university is University of Massachusetts, Amherst. And compared to the traditional approach, their approach can be much faster in getting the information and also much more accurate. And one success story is in 2018, there are powerful storms sweeping through Texas. And their technology, CASA's technology and data were used by NBC Universal and also the National Weather Service to support communication of these very hazardous weather to the public and make very critical decisions, and literally save lives and property. So those are the histories of ERC and also some past ERCs. Now I would like to switch gear and talk a little bit about the current status and also future of ERC. In 2015, NSF charged the National Academy to review the ERC program and to develop future visions. And in 2017, the National Academy came back with this report entitled A New Vision for Center-Based Engineering Research. And overall, the committee, the review committee believes that the ERC program is a very important program, and it's extremely critical to build on the current success of the ERCs and to address even bigger challenges. That is, to address the biggest challenges that our society faces both today and in decades to come. And taking the recommendation from the National Academy's report, the NSF formed a working group, and eventually they developed a new generation of ERC program, the so-called Gen 4 ERC program. And the spirit can be represented by this one-liner shown here. It is to promote convergent research and innovation through inclusive partnership and workforce development. So this generation of ERC emphasized very strongly on societal impact, convergence, stakeholder, community, and team formation. And as I mentioned, the award size increased to maximum $6 million per year. So putting money where our mouth is. And since the community is not very familiar with convergent research and also team formation for convergent research, so NSF also implemented a pilot program, so-called planning grant, to help the community form teams for convergent research. And NSF required these centers to demonstrate the integration of foundational components, which are convergent research, workforce development, diversity and cultural inclusion, and innovation ecosystems. Not only the centers need to demonstrate the components, but mostly the integration of these components. At the end of the day, the center should demonstrate the 3 layers of impact, that is impact to engineering, impact to science, but very importantly, impact to society. So the NSF ERC really can be viewed as a very complex and interdependent system, as shown here. Each ERC should develop vision and strategic plan that integrates the core, that is the 3 circles shown here, research for discovery and innovation, workforce development, and innovation ecosystem. And should engage all the stakeholders, which include students, faculty, staff, leadership, management, industry, innovation partners, and very importantly, all the end users. And at the end, the ERC is going to produce deep knowledge, broad knowledge, new technology, but very importantly, a diverse and convergent workforce that can work seamlessly under the culture of inclusion. So after a few years of hard work, NSF announced the first cohort of the Gen 4 ERC in 2020. Here shows the 4 centers. The topic include advancing sustainability through transportation electrification and preservation of biological systems and advancing quantum internet, as well as advancing precision agriculture to enhance productivity, but at the same time protect our environment. And just last week, NSF announced 4 new ERCs for the Gen 4 ERC, that's the second cohort, covering topics like advanced manufacturing, smart cities, human health, and agriculture. Now, if you go online and review the content and the vision and the mission of these ERCs, you see they not only focus on advancing science, engineering, technology, but very importantly, impacting society. So last, I want to say the ERC program is always looking for a few good teams, teams of eminent scholars, as well as passionate movers and shakers who care about making a difference, making a difference in research, in education, and very importantly, societal impact. That is, to engineer the 21st century for the benefit of future humanity. With that, I finish my talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wang. I'd like to ask the first question, if I may. We have a couple of minutes for questions. Like me, you have had the privilege of serving as division director of this special division, and it offers a lens, an inside lens to programs such as the ERCs. What can you highlight, or how has your perspective changed with regard to this hallmark program?
I think it really strengthened my thought about the importance of engineering and the contribution of engineering. And I always encourage students to get into engineering. I always tell them, if you want to solve hard problems, if you're interested in rigor, and at the same time, if you're interested in thinking outside the box, and at the same time, if you're interested in solving problems for helping people, engineering is the ideal profession. And going to NSF really strengthened my thought, especially the ERC program. You can see ERC, as I mentioned, covers all aspects. In fact, the whole EEC division covers a wide spectrum of aspects that engineer can contribute to the community and the society, starting from very basic research to technology, to how to form a team, and especially a diverse team with culture of inclusion, and to achieve great things that can really impact the society. So that's the real contribution of our engineering education and the community of engineering.
Great, thank you. I share your thoughts. Also, one of the speakers yesterday referred to different provided an overview of different phases of, our industry in the United States and the impact of NSF during different phases, and referred to us being in what he called, in an emerging industrial innovation phase. And we've had the pandemic the last 2.5 years. The CHIPS Act was just passed, trying to bring advanced manufacturing back to the United States. And we're almost in a position as a profession to take our work and inform emergency response in a way, or do more rapid deployment of what we do. Have you ever thought about the centers playing a role at the national stage in terms of driving rapid transitions to where we need to be today for the U.S. to be more competitive?
Yeah, I think yesterday's speaker, have made some very good point. In fact, if you talk to, especially recently, some of the report from, for example, OSTP, also from NSF, stress that the R&D is really an ecosystem. That is, yesterday people talk about is a more science-based or more applied-based. In fact, nowadays, I think yesterday's speaker also said, we're looking at an ecosystem. So that means so people always said that we don't want to invent something here and manufacturing outside the U.S. And that's a good point, because as you invent something, although we enjoy the benefit of being creative, but we sometimes forget that if you go into the deep detail of manufacturing things and working with industry, you're going to see many very intriguing research issues coming out. So basically integrating the fundamental research with more items in manufacturing, etc., you're gonna feedback what you find out from the manufacturing process and help us to do more research. And these are very intriguing basic research. So it's an ecosystem. If we view that way, we'll have an integrated system, and and our nation will be much more competitive that way.
Great, thank you. Let me ask you one more question. You made reference to impact to society throughout your presentation. And I view the engineering directorate also as one that was launched to make the U.S. more competitive with an eye on making an impact on society. So with the newest generation of ERCs, how do you see that unfolding? How would you coach like the new cohort of centers to keep that longitudinal vision to make impact on society?
I think that's very well emphasized in the new generation of ERC. And that's, front and center is the societal impact. If you look at all the workshop that NSF has, pursued for the community, one item is societal impact, and that's the main thing in one of the main thing in the Gen 4 ERC. Not just talking about technology, not just talking about helping industry. That's still there. Those are still very important. But sometimes we talk about beyond just helping industry. Some of the items we may be helping humanity and have basically promoting a better future for humanity. And that's the so-called societal impact. And I think all the winning ERC all have to illustrate that very clearly in their proposal in order to win. And I did read the website of these new ERCs, and every one of them address that.
Perfect. Great. Thank you so much for a wonderful presentation and for kicking off this session, Dr. Wang.